Hi guys, today I'm creating a nail that is inspired by female alchemy, and they are a bit trending at the moment in nail design. They make pots and they're really cute and funky, almost illustration style. So I'm going to try and do my own version of that. So I'm starting with like a glove and I'm popping that down as base, and I'm going to do 2 coats of this and cure in between just to make sure that it's totally opaque. But as you can see, the coverage is pretty good on this one, so I could have probably just got away with 1 coat. So once that's cured, I'm just going back in with that 2nd coat, just make sure it's nice and even. Once that's cured, I'm taking ultra matte coat and I'm just going to add this to the nail just so I've got a matte base to work on, because when you're doing detail work it's much easier to work on a matte base just in case it slips and slides around like it would on a shiny base. Next I'm taking serious black and I'm just going to map out the curl of the hair. So I'm just mapping out the middle point to start off with, and this did take me a couple of goes, so don't worry if you were doing it and it does. I just was trying to get this in the right place. So I'm trying to aim for round about the middle with this, and then it's going to curve over to one side and then to the other side as well. I'm just taking this nice and slow just to make sure I get it right. Obviously I've sped the video up, but in real life this took me a little while. And then I'm just curving it round to the other side as well. So everything about the style of this design is a bit exaggerated. So the hair's exaggerated, the eyes are exaggerated, the proportions of the face are exaggerated. So don't worry too much if it doesn't look realistic, because that is absolutely not the aim of this. It's meant to look surreal and not like someone's face could really look like this in real life. Once that's all filled in, I'm just going back in and defining that little curl and adding a bit more of a point to it. And once that's cured, I'm just bringing it around the side of the face here, just like as if the hair's flicking around the face. I did see this on another couple of nail designs that were similarly inspired, so I thought I would give it a little go as well. And it also kind of defines where the bottom of the face would be, because the nail's obviously a little bit longer than the proportions of the face, and to do one that was the right proportions it would be a very short and wide nail as well, and I just wanted to show what it looked like on more of a regular shaped nail that you might have on a client. Once that's done and cured, I'm taking baby cakes and I'm just going to add on 2 dots for kind of like the blusher. We want just like a little pink blush on the cheeks. So I'm just adding the dots on there, and then I'm taking a sponge and just spreading that out a little bit. And then I'm just going to add in a little bit more just to kind of make it a bit more dark, a bit more opaque. I just want the blusher to be a little bit more obvious than it already is. Once that's cured, I'm taking chocolate ganache and we're just going to be adding in kind of the brow line and the nose. So this is much lighter than everything else that's going on the design I've been looking at by Female Alchemy. So I'm just using a really thin layer of this, and just like I say, add in a brow line and then curve it down, and we're making a tiny little like squared off nose in the middle as well. And the fun thing with this is you can just play with the proportions, like I say, because it doesn't have to be accurate or realistic. You can play around with them until you think they look cool. You just want everything to be a little bit like emphasized. So once that's cured, I'm taking Snow White and I'm just going to map out where the eyes are going to be. So I'm just going to do a straight line for the top of them and then curve them round at the bottom, because that was similar to what they'd done on the mug that we used for the inspo. Luckily, because these products are really well pigmented, you only need one coat of this when you're doing detail work like this, because as you can see, it covers so well that you really don't need to go in with a second coat. Once that's cured, I'm taking Serious Black and we're just going to add in the pupils. So I'm just doing kind of like a side eye. She's a bit sassy, this gal, so we're doing a side eye for this one, and we're just going to go in and literally just go over what we've already done, but just not even half of the eye, not even, maybe like a third of the eye on both sides. Just play around with it until it looks even, because eyes are a little bit tricky, so you might need to go back in and just add a little bit more on one side or a little bit less on the other side or whatever. Once I'm happy with that and it's being cured, I'm taking Clear as Day Builder Gel and I'm going to mix this with some Merlot, just so I can have a little bit more of a 3D element to this without having to put loads of layers on. So I'm just going to mix them together, make sure they're nice and smooth. I think I've done about 1:1 here, but you can just play around with this, depends how opaque you want the colour to be. But obviously the more normal gel polish you put in, the slightly runnier it'll be. So I'm just going to map out the glasses with this. So I'm just doing rectangles essentially around the eyes. So on the mug, it was along the top of the eye and then there was a little gap underneath. So that's all I'm doing here, is I'm just following the same kind of structure of leaving a little bit of the under eye area visible, but kind of cropping off the top of the eye. And I'm just doing the same on the other side. And then I'm just joining them up in the middle across the bridge of the nose. And once that's cured, I'm just going in and putting a second coat on this just to build it up a little bit more. Once that's cured, I'm using the same mixture and I'm just making some lips. So I'm just adding in the point where I want the middle to be, and then just almost making like a little heart shape, but like not too precise, and pulling it out to the sides a little bit. We want these lips to be really kind of pouty and luscious, but like teeny tiny, if that makes sense. So once that's cured, I'm just going in with a second coat just to give them a little bit more 3D again, like I did with the glasses, and just do the same thing, just go over what I've already done. Once that's cured, I'm taking Snow White and I'm just going to add some highlights onto the lips as well. I'm just doing a teeny tiny line at the top and the bottom, kind of like opposite each other. Now that's cured, I'm just going to go in with some top coat and finish the whole nail off, and that's it. It really isn't quite as complicated as it looks. I mean, my observation skills aren't the best and I still managed to get a similar vibe. I mean, it's definitely my own style, but inspired by Female Alchemy's mugs that she does. So I'm literally just making sure I put a nice thin layer of that on, and there we go, guys. Let me know what you think down below, and I would love to see if you give this a go, because it's a lot of fun. So tag us if you do. If you want any of the products, they'll be tagged down below, and we'll see you next time, guys. Bye.